We're the manufacturer, we're the ingredient vendor that's gonna be with you every step of the way of the process during the launch. It's not just gonna be sell you the ingredient and say good luck. So when you see NNB Nutrition at a show like Expo West, you're gonna see pure, potent, precise is our tagline everywhere. What does that mean? Well, it's essentially what our company stands for. Pure. What we're doing now to NNB Nutrition is we're going away from whole extracts and whole mushrooms, and we're finding the active constituents within some of the most popular ingredients within the industry, and we're fermenting it or synthesizing it pure. 99% purity, just the active. Now, potent is a second pillar to our entire brand. When you think about what it is that we're doing, with 99% purity for a lot of our actives, the potency is going to be multiple times higher than the original herb or extract that we're pulling the active constituent from. And then when it comes to precise, the precision that we have with our ingredients, we're not only creating new ingredients, pure and fermented, but we also have the ability to take existing ingredients and modify them and tailor them specifically for our customers' needs. So for instance, in the marketplace right now, we have customers that are coming up to brands asking specifically for DL185 dileucine because of everything they're hearing on the marketplace. We have customers who are specifically asking for Genius Pure because they're hearing on all types of websites that how it doubles your focus in one dose. Glucovantage, you're seeing it more and more. You're seeing it standalone and on the front of actual products because customers are looking specifically for Glucovantage because of all the hype going on about how dihydroberberine is 20 times more bioavailable than standard berberine because it increases berberine in the blood 20 times more than regular berberine. So here at Expo West, you're going to be finding a lot of natural products. So the question is, what does NNB have to offer the natural community? Well, we've shown up here today with our PeptiClear drink. But the big thing about this PeptiClear drink and anything that can be done natural is it's sweetened with SweetVantage. SweetVantage is our natural sweetener, a blend of ribosicides from stevia, and we found in an independent e-tongue test that it has a lower astringency than any other natural sweetener and more roundness to flavor. So the big thing that we have to offer to the natural community who's trying to flavor products naturally, which can be the hardest thing to do, is the best sweetener in the game. So here at Expo West, we have a lot of needs for the natural customer. One of the biggest needs is how do I get my mushrooms, how do I get my herbs into this product and actually flavor it? How do I fit this all in there? Well, we have the answer to that, and that's the pure component of NNB. Because we're fermenting actives pure, two of the big statements that we have that customers can make is harnessing the power of mushrooms and harnessing the power of adaptogens, but with tiny milligram dosages. How do we do that? We're currently creating SolidroPure, which is the active component of rhodiola. So you have 20 times the potency when you have solidroside, which is only 1% active in rhodiola that can be fermented pure. 20 milligrams of solidroside is the equivalent to 2 grams of rhodiola in terms of solidroside content. We're also fermenting L-ergothionine pure. L-ergothionine, it can take pounds of reishi mushroom. It can take pounds of king oyster mushroom just to get the active L-ergothionines. We're fermenting it pure at 99%. You can make longevity claims at just 20 milligrams. So now, these natural customers can say that they're harnessing the power of mushrooms and they're harnessing the power of adaptogens with tiny milligram dosages. Gen Z, we've all heard it in the news. They're drinking less alcohol than ever before. It's even gotten to the point where at major beverage conferences, retailers are talking about the fact that they're saving their sales year over year because they're declining the alcohol set by including functional mocktails in the same set as alcohol because those are starting to trend. Here at NNB, we have ingredients like SolidroPure, a powerful adaptogen, Mitoprime, that's very experiential at a high dose. And combining the two, you get an experience that's not only an adaptogen, but it increases feelings of well-being and increases cellular energy. This is something that could be huge for the functional beverage market, especially when you're talking about mocktails and alcohol replacements. But even better, active dose for Mitoprime for the experiential feeling, 50 milligrams. Active dose for SolidroPure to be the equivalent of 2 grams of rhodiola, 20 milligrams. What do you think about adding 70 milligrams to your next mocktail and differentiating it from the rest of the market? So the beverage industry is becoming more and more competitive as the days go by. And so now all brands are looking for ways to differentiate themselves from the rest of the market. Caffeine, they've got to look outside of that for differentiation. But now you're dealing with the nutrition facts, the supplement facts, what can you do? At NNB, we have a Rethink the Drink campaign. We have ingredients that are tiny dosages, fermented pure, that represent the actives within popular ingredients. We also have ingredients that are highly water soluble. We also have approved claims, or I should say not claims, but great statements like harness the power of adaptogens, harness the power of mushrooms, that you can use on a nutrition facts so that you can show that you have mushroom and adaptogen power in your drink without having to use the whole mushroom or without having to use the whole adaptogen. And for some of our more innovative ingredients like DL185 that we're now putting in drinks, well, stay tuned. Coming soon, we have a new masker that can be used for really difficult ingredients like the hydroberberine, DL185 that you thought could never be used in beverages. Well, the future is going to be different. We have something for you, and you might be able to put these into beverages sometime soon. Functional sodas are blowing up, especially protein sodas. As sugary sodas start to decline, functional sodas are becoming more popular. But we're also seeing the proteinification of everything. Protein is in absolutely everything. But what is that doing to the supply chain of whey protein? Well, unless you've been in the protein business for 10 plus years, if you're a new player in the game, you're gonna have a really hard time acquiring whey protein, and it's gonna be really expensive. So with this issue of functional sodas rising in popularity, the proteinification of everything, but little access to whey protein, what could possibly be the solution? The solution to this supply chain problem? A concept like PeptiClear. So what we've done here is we've taken a pea protein isolate, hydrolyze it so it's clear, so that there's no pea aftertaste. And essentially, you can make it into a soda. But here's the big question on the marketplace for all the whey lovers. The pea protein isn't going to be as strong or as powerful for anabolic activity as whey protein. The answer? DL185. This is our dileucine peptide, 60% more protein synthesis than just regular leucine. You combine this with pea protein isolate, you're not worried about missing out on whey, because now you have a protein soda that's even more anabolic. So what makes the DL185 and PeptiClear so great? First and foremost, it is an actual peptide. Yes, it's occurring in nature, but it's gonna take you 220 grams of whey protein just to get the 2 grams of dileucine that's in this. Now, the special thing about dileucine, it's within leucine, but it's 60% more protein synthesis than leucine and 185% faster absorption. Now, the power of dileucine is in the speed of absorption. I mentioned the PEP1 transporter. When you're getting leucine into your cells that much faster, that's where you're getting the anabolic activity. So it can help to overcome anabolic resistance in the elderly. And also, if you're young, healthy, and trained, we have human clinical studies to show that it'll improve your strength in as little as 2 months. It doesn't get any better than dileucine, and now we've enhanced soda with it. So we get it. There's gonna be a lot of non-believers out there about the power of pea protein isolate combined with dileucine. But the truth is, we're already in the preclinical stages of combining a low dose of pea protein isolate with dileucine and comparing it with a human equivalent of 25 grams of whey protein. And we're already seeing that when it comes to mTOR activation, we're seeing similar lines in the bar chart. More to come on our research comparing pea protein and dileucine to whey protein, but the early studies for mTOR activation and anabolic activity are promising. This could be the next big thing in protein drinks. So what is glucovantage? Well, berberine became popular as nature's Ozempic quite a couple of years ago, and it became popular on TikTok. But the truth is, gastrointestinal issues, poor bioavailability. So we decided to look deeper into berberine, and we found that it actually has to first convert to the hydroberberine into the intestines before it can increase blood levels of berberine in the body to be used. So what happens if you skip that step? Well, we made pure dihydroberberine, and we did a pharmacokinetic study, meaning we were showing and we were looking at how dihydroberberine acts in the body if you skip that step. And we were wowed by the results. Not only was the absorption fast, not only did it avoid a lot of the gastrointestinal issues, but a 200 milligram dose of dihydroberberine wasn't the equivalent to 500 milligrams of berberine. It wasn't double 500 milligrams of berberine. We found 20 times more berberine in the blood with a 200 milligram dose of dihydroberberine versus a 500 milligram dose of berberine. This is really changing the game and changing the future of what's possible with berberine. So more glucovantage research is coming. We're currently doing a 12-week study to show weight management activity of glucovantage, to show how it can control blood sugar and weight over 3 months in a population that represents the United States. But we also have an acute study using CGMs, continued glucose monitors, that will monitor people's blood sugar all day, so we can show you the power of glucovantage after a meal, during the day, during the ebbs and flows of blood sugar that cause people to get hungry. We're also going to be including research and feedback from the consumers in the research study on not only their blood sugar control, but their appetite control and how they feel during the day as well. So we've got 2 more clinical studies coming. Now, what does all this mean? What we're going for in today's weight management climate is something called the post-GLP-1 window. Now, that is a regulatory approved claim that puts you away from the rest of the industry that's trying to come up with natural GLP-1 alternatives and landing in legal hot water. The reality of the situation is 8% of the population is using GLP-1s, but 78% of those people are using it for less than 1 year. And also, when you look at the poor body recomposition of GLP-1 use and the muscle loss, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to keep using GLP-1s. But these same people are having a hard time keeping the weight off. So the opportunity for the entire industry is, if so many people are using GLP-1s, but so many of them are using it for less than a year, what are they going to be using for the rest of their lives to maintain that weight control? Well, dihydroberberine will soon have human clinical studies to show that it's controlling blood sugar, to show that it's controlling appetite, and this could be the big picture, big ingredient for post-GLP-1 use for all the GLP-1 users. This could really be the future of weight management to be paired with GLP-1. So why are we calling L-BEBA the exercise amplifier or the exercise amino acid? Well, the truth is we're putting it in a category of something that we call exercise mimetics. So there's a study that you can't take claims from, but it's very, very interesting. It's a study on obese women who are walking on a treadmill. And we were showing that based on how long they were walking on the treadmill, their body was producing a certain amount of L-BEBA based on that treadmill time. And so based on other preclinical studies that we've done, we've been able to see that a certain dosage of L-BEBA can equate to a certain amount of calories expended from exercise. And that's the reason why we're calling it an exercise mimetic. We currently have university research going on around the world to show how a certain amount of exercise can be the equivalent to a certain dosage of L-BEBA. And this could be extremely exciting. If you're walking on the treadmill for just a few moments, maybe it can give your body the equivalent of walking on the treadmill for much longer. Using something like the exercise amino acid can really enhance or amplify the effects of your exercise. So our early research on L-BEBA, most of the marketplace, we had them using 500 milligrams for the brown fat activation. But we continue at NNB, like we always do when it comes to innovation, doing more rodent model studies and continuing to push the boundaries of what's possible with an ingredient, especially since there's very little toxicity with high doses of L-BEBA. So we did early research and we found that a 1300 milligram human equivalent dose actually increased your body's ability to store muscle glycogen. We literally started calling it glycogen supercompensation. So we did a follow-up study between 1,000 milligrams and 1,500 milligram human equivalent dose. What could possibly come from the fact that your body's literally storing more muscle glycogen? Well, we found that it was increasing animal grip strength. We found that it was increasing animals' endurance. We found that it was increasing recovery. And so this early preclinical data is going to infer on future human clinical data about what's possible with L-BEBA in terms of exercise capacity, being an exercise equivalent, boosting endurance, and enhancing recovery. And as a result of this, we're now looking at having customers put 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of L-BEBA per serving. But in something like a drink, how is that even possible? Well, L-BEBA is extremely water soluble. 737 grams of L-BEBA is soluble in a liter of water. That's huge. Very few ingredients are more water soluble than that. You're talking about dextrose and L-carnitine are the only ones ahead of something like L-BEBA in terms of water solubility. So now that we have research to show that 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams could be a new active dose and boost endurance, you could do something like that in a drink like this. We're continuing the trend of launching new innovative ingredients, but more importantly, creating the pure active constituents that are found in small amounts in material. Many of you may or may not remember how fenugreek was found due to 4-hydroxyisoleucine to really enhance the effects of creatine without the presence of carbohydrates. Well, now we're going to be making it pure, and we're going to be investigating its power not just for creatine, but for other amino acids as well. In addition to that, we're going to have Icarin D2. Many of you know it as the powerful PDE5 inhibitor within horny goat weed. Well, now we're going to be creating that pure, and we're going to be investigating its effects for libido and for erectile function. And so at NNB, what we're going to be looking for is exclusive partners to join our journey to bring these to market with an exclusive partnership to be first to market with these ingredients. If you're interested, contact us. And for the rest of you, stay tuned for the launch of 2 really new and innovative ingredients. We're not just a distributor who's distributing ingredients that were created by somebody else. We are literally creating these ingredients. What does that mean for you as the customer? We're going to help you solve problems every step of the way. Too hygroscopic? Need to change the particle side? Need to do something about the smell? Need to clarify this protein? We can help solve all kinds of problems for our customers here at NNB, in addition to creating the ingredients.